Hi, welcome to Monday Madness. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 6th of March. And hi, guys, I'm back. It's been a while. Nick says this waiting room needs better magazines. Yeah, bro, that's all on you. I'm not supplying reading material to your living room or wherever you're sitting. You're probably not watching this in your living room. So good to see you guys. It's good to be here. Gosh, it has been fully 1 month since I've been able to do a Monday Madness live stream. And yeah, sorry about that. It was work related, right? So because I ended up having to work several weekends or several Mondays in a row, I wasn't able to get here and do this, but I'm here today and I'm very excited about it. So lots has happened since the 6th of February. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the comments, and thank you for joining in on the live stream, on the live chat. If you are joining me from Facebook, you may have to log in, go to StreamYard and log in to give them permission to use your name. Otherwise, you'll show up as Facebook user, which is totally fine. I just won't know who you are unless you make it clear in your comments. So that's kind of a fun game to play sometimes. But yeah, let me know if you can hear me okay, and how you guys are doing. So let's see. Last time we talked, I actually have my February calendar in front of me here. Last time we talked was February 6th, and I was coming off of a fairly good January. I'd made a lot of progress on some of my writing projects and stuff. I am sorry to say I have not made as much progress in February as I would have liked. So Chris Kennedy and I started working on the King's Daughter in February, but we kind of had to take a pause on that because Chris had to shift focus mainly to supporting his family while they're going through some medical stuff, which is totally understandable and not a big deal as far as I'm concerned, because I will be here. So I really, on the writing front, I spent the majority of the month of February kind of looking at what I've got going on and deciding where I want to go in the future. So, and compiling and putting together the last edits for Down These Mean Streets. So let's talk about that first, because it's super exciting. So Down These Mean Streets is done, you guys. It's so good. It is so good. So if you're not familiar, Down These Mean Streets is the third volume in a anthology series that I'm co-editing with author Larry Correa. And if you have heard this story already, I apologize, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell it again. So the way that this whole thing came about was actually kind of funny. I am a huge noir fan, right? I love old, like, Humphrey Bogart movies. I love reading Raven Chandler. I love watching, like, Mulholland Falls and LA Confidential and all that kind of stuff. Great. I love the subgenre, right? Of the hard-bitten, hard-boiled detective who's cynical and yet still has, like, a streak of idealism somewhere buried deep, deep, deep down inside. I love the femme fatales. I love the mysteries and just all the trappings of noir, right? And I could talk for hours on what constitutes noir, versus other genres. But the long and short of it is that back in, it was probably like 2015, maybe. I wrote a noir story for the first time because I'd been reading a bunch of Raymond Chandler, and I was like, I wonder if I could do this, right? I wonder if I could pull this off. And the thing that I did, the story that I wrote, ended up being included in Noir Fatale, which I'll get to here in a minute. But the first version of the story was not a science fiction or fantasy noir story. It was just a noir story, right? Set shortly after World War II in Alexandria, Virginia. Now, the reason I picked Alexandria, Virginia was because that was an area where I had lived for a good portion of my adult life, and I was very familiar with the town. And one of the things that always stood out to me about these noir stories is that they're the kind of thing that can only really take place in the city where they're set, right? So like, LA Confidential wouldn't be LA Confidential if it couldn't happen in any other city, because you had to have that sort of exact mix of the desert and the ocean and the entertainment industry and the local government and the corruption and the mob. And, like you had to have those things in place in order for the story to take place. Right. Same thing with like the Chinatown series, right. With Jack Nicholson. It could only happen there. Some people will tell you that it's not really a noir story. I think those people are wrong, but Casablanca could only happen in Casablanca during, because it was such a crossroads during that wartime period where the story happened, right? So I wanted to pick a place that I knew really well. So I picked Alexandria, Virginia, and this story had three standout elements. It had the main character, who's the femme fatale. It had the detective character, and then it was the setting, the place, right? It had a very definite sense of this story has to happen here because of whatever plot elements that are worked into it, that I have worked into it. So I wrote the story and I liked it. I really liked it. And I was like, man, I really wish that Baen would put out a noir anthology, because I had just done the Black Tide Rising, the John Ringo universe set zombie story. And it had been a really good experience doing that. I had really enjoyed working with John and with Kelly and with, the team from Baen. And I was like, I'm such a new writer. I was like, man, I really wish that they would do an anthology of noir stories. Kind of wishful thinking, right? So fast forward a couple months and I'm talking to Chris Smith, and we, I sent him this story, and he is also a big Raven Chandler fan, and he liked the story and thought it was great. And I was like, it would be cool if Baen did a noir anthology. He's like, yeah, I wonder how you could get them to do that. And I was like, I don't know. We'd have to get someone with like kind of a big name to sort of co-sponsor it, right? Because nobody knew who Casey Ezel was then. I don't know how many people know who I am now. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know that I myself could have pitched it to Tony as a viable product with just my name on it, right? Because people will buy things based on who's in the story or who's in the anthology and who's editing the anthology. And so anyway, we were talking about it, and Chris was trying to get me to come to LibertyCon, and I was already like there. I was like, yes, I'm gonna try and come to LibertyCon this year. And we found out that Larry Correia was coming to LibertyCon. Now, Larry has a series called the Grim Noir series, which I had also read and loved at this point. And it is very noir. It is, set in the 1930s where men wear cool hats. And it has a lot of that sort of gritty post-war cynicism, but it's also like kind of an urban fantasy series. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you check it out. The first book is called Hard Magic, which is one of the most noir, like, mashup titles I've seen in genre fiction. And the main character, Heavy Jake Sullivan, is just chef's kiss good, right? Great series. Highly recommended. Go check it out. But I read this series and I was like, yeah, this is freaking good. This is exactly what I want. In fact, I kind of want this guy to edit this anthology that I'm creating in my mind that for Baen to do, this thing that I'm speaking into existence. And so I kind of Chris and I were talking about this, and we kind of hatched a plot. And the plot went like this. I reached out to Rich Groller, who is the director of programming, still is the director of programming at LibertyCon. And I said, hey, I have a panel idea. And I volunteered to moderate it, but I noticed Larry is coming. I noticed there's several others coming who have credits, in the noir genre. And I think it would be really fun to talk about like crossovers between noir and science fiction and fantasy. And I'd be happy to moderate this panel and talk about those things. And Rich was like, yeah, I love the idea. And so he scheduled it and had me on as moderator and scheduled Larry for it. And through pure serendipity, I don't think anybody asked Rich to do this, but through pure serendipity, he scheduled it for the time block immediately preceding a pro dinner that Baen puts on at various conventions where like they bring their authors together and they go have dinner. And I was invited to that because I had a pro sale with Baen that year. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. So we do the panel and it's great and people really enjoy it. We got a lot of really good feedback. And you guys, I'm not even kidding. I went all out on this. I dressed to the nines in my best femme fatale outfit. Like I had backseam stockings. I had a pencil skirt. The only thing I didn't have was like a birdcage veil, right? But like, you know, the dark red lipstick and the matte dark red lipstick, the pencil skirt, the suit, like the high heels. I did as much as I could to embody this idea of the femme fatale and kind of illustrate this for this panel. And the panel went great. It was a lot of fun. And so then we went from that panel directly to the Baen dinner, and I was still wearing my femme fatale getup. I don't think I changed. But we went over to a place called the Hot Chocolatier in Chattanooga. So this was back when LibertyCon was held at the Chattanooga Choo Choo, when it was still a hotel and not just apartments. And across the street is a really delicious place called the Hot Chocolatier. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a chocolatier place. And Baen had like rented their sort of back room for like a private party kind of situation. And so that's where this thing was happening. And I approached Larry and I was like, hey, did you enjoy? So what did you think? And he was like, oh, that was a great panel. You did a great job. And I was like, thanks. So it's like, I kind of have this idea that's sort of related where, we could work together. I would do all the work. You could put your name on it and we'd make a lot of money. And he goes, that is a really good pitch. Go on. So I pitched him this idea of what would you think if we collaborated on an anthology? And I'd be happy to do all of the grunt work of the editing. And it'll be co-edited by you and me. I'd ask you for a grim noir story, presumably a grim noir story, but whatever. And we'll see if Baen is interested in putting it out. And he was like, that's a really good idea. Not this year, next year. I was like, okay, sounds good. I will touch base with you next year. And so I touched base with him next year and he was like, yeah, let's approach Tony. And so we emailed her and she liked the idea of the anthology focusing on the character archetype of a femme fatale, and that became Noir Fatale. And so I did the first anthology and it was such a great experience. We had so many great authors in it. David Weber was in it. Larry himself was in it. Laurel K. Hamilton was in it. We had Bob Buettner was in it. And then several of my favorite kind of, up and coming mid-lister sorts of authors as well. We had, Chris Smith co-wrote a phenomenal story with, I'm trying to think of the guy's pen name. I don't want to give away his real name, but he wrote a phenomenal story with a very good friend of his. And then Griffin Barber had a great story in it, Mike Massa. So yeah, it was a really, really great anthology. The cover was phenomenal. It had the perfect cover model on it. I wish I had a hard copy, but I think I've sold or given them all away. Otherwise I would show you guys right now. But it was great. And it did well. It did really well. Like it earned out, which is honestly not always the case with anthologies, right? So super excited about it. So I started thinking about it and I was like, well, that one earned out. And we only told one side of the story, right? Because we focused on the femme fatale, but there's another very important character in every noir story, and that is that of the detective. So I emailed Larry and I was like, hey, so we did great. We earned out. What would you think about doing another one? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's email Tony. So we emailed Tony and we said, hey, we're happy that Noir Fatale did really well. We'd love to do another one. We have a really, some really great ideas for who to invite to this second one. And we'd like to focus this one on the character archetype of the detective. And that one, the only thing is we couldn't decide on a title. We had two options for the title, right? And so we emailed her both of those options, thinking that she would pick one of those. And she was like, yeah, I really like both of those titles. Why don't you do 2 anthologies? So the first title that we chose was No Game for Knights, and that's the one that came out in September. And I do have one, but I was dumb and didn't grab it ahead of time. But No Game for Knights is out now. You can get it now. It came out this September. It's just phenomenal. Just like Noir Fatale, like all of these anthologies, the stories that I've been given to work with from all the contributors are so good, you guys. And it's just been such a pleasure to work with everybody because everyone's interested and engaged in the project. Everyone likes the material. It's been a dream project. But then there was the third one, and the title of the third one is Down These Mean Streets, and that is the one that focuses on the story, or sorry, not story, the city as a setting, and kind of how that city has to almost be like another character in the noir story, which is a little bit harder thing to pin down, I think, than just focus on the femme fatale or focus on the detective. But they pulled it off. All of these contributors pulled it off in such like phenomenal style. And so I have all of the stories. They've all been completely edited. The manuscript is compiled. I am currently in the process of compiling author bios. So if you're one of my authors and you haven't sent me your bio, please do that. As soon as I get those all of the author bios in and added to the manuscript, I will be turning in Down These Mean Streets, which will be the third and final noir anthology from this series of anthologies. So that's big news. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, dude. So Melissa says, love that cover. Yes. Yeah. So the the Noir Fatale cover, we're past 10 minutes. So here we go. The Noir Fatale cover featured a gorgeous young woman, I don't know how young she is, in like a skin tight catsuit and just the very like beautifully rendered curves of her body. So in some circles, we call it the dat ass cover. And then for No Game for Knights, if you guys just indulge me 1 second, I'm going to grab it for you. Let me go the other way. Sorry, this is terrible. I can't believe I'm doing this on my live stream. Worst idea ever. Okay, I'm coming back. Imagine like elevator music. All right. So here is No Game for Knights. And as you can see, we've got equal time for those of you who, like myself, enjoy the male form. So we have da ass, and this is those pecs. I told Tony when I emailed her to tell her that the manuscript was, that I had all the stories, that I was just waiting on bios, and that she could expect the manuscript hopefully this week. And I was like, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see how you make the city sexy. And she's like, I can't wait either. So yeah, those abs. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so that is a large part of what my attention and time has been going into in February was actually compiling all this stuff, doing the edits for No Game for Knights, or sorry, not No Game for Knights, for Down These Mean Streets. This one's big though too, you guys. And I know size doesn't matter, but we have a lot of stories that are just longer, and I think part of that might be because when asking authors to do things like focus on the city, it kind of involves probably a little bit more world building than focusing on a character archetype, for example. At least that's my going in theory. We'll see. But it's good. You guys, I think it's probably the best of the three. And I have thoroughly loved all three of these anthologies. So I really hope that you guys all like them as well. I don't know yet when Down These Mean Streets is going to come out. I don't think Tony knows yet when it's going to come out. So as soon as Bain lets me know, I'll let the authors know, and then I'll announce it on here, or potentially in conjunction with a convention, if I know by LibertyCon. So yeah, so that is what's going on with that. So let's talk conventions for a few minutes. I do have some not great news. Originally, I was scheduled to be a guest at Fantasy at the end of March, right around my birthday, actually. Unfortunately, I have to announce that I am going to be unable to attend Fantasy. So one of the things about my job is that you really have to have someone to cover for you if you're not going to be there. And I was actually scheduled to work that weekend. And I asked, my fellow coworkers if any of them were available to cover, and none of them were. So I had to cancel. I had to cancel Fantasy. And I apologize to those of you who, I had told that I was going to be there. I was really looking forward to seeing you, and I'm sorry that I won't get a chance to. I hope that you'll forgive me, and I hope that I beg your understanding that when it comes to things like EMS, covering the job is pretty important. You don't want to leave a gap there in coverage, right? Not unless you absolutely have to. And the truth is, I don't. Fantasy is a commitment. It is something that was important to me, something that I wanted to do. But I knew that that Joel and the staff would be kind and would be understanding when I said that, like, hey, I couldn't get coverage for that weekend, that they would understand. So I appreciate you guys understanding that too. Yeah, me too. But Melissa will be there. So I invite all of you who are going to go and give her a hard time. Go see Melissa, buy her books. So yeah, they do sometimes, but I mean, it's not even that. It's just because I love my job, and it's an important job. It's rewarding. And I don't want to let my team down, and we don't want to let our patients down, so yeah, life does happen. And like I said, thank you all for being understanding of that. Melissa, yeah, you're in for it now, girl. So everybody go to Fantasy and find Melissa Althoff and give her a hard time, and then tell her I sent you. So yeah, that Fantasy, if you're not familiar, I will put a link in the description below, but it is the weekend of March 24th through the 26th in Durham, North Carolina. And it's a great time. It's put on by Joel Lyons is the ConCom, and he is just a fantastic leader when it comes to running conventions and putting on successful conventions, and just really ensuring that everyone has a good time, right? Like that is his overriding objective. So highly recommend it. Really hope to make it next year. Melissa says challenge accepted. That's my girl. So yeah, that is like I said, at the end of March. So definitely go and check that out. I think there are still memberships available via the website, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I will link the website below. And if nothing else, you can get information for maybe next year, right? Maybe you and I can go next year, since I won't be here this year. Let's see, what else have I been working on? So I don't know if I said it in a live stream or if I was talking about it in another video. I think I might've been talking about it. Yeah, sure. Melissa, if somebody brings you one of my books to sign, please sign it Melissa Althoff for Casey Zell. Please do that. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. I authorize you to do that. That would be great. In fact, maybe I'll send you some to sell for that purpose. Oh man, that would be so funny. Okay, so anyway, in one of my other videos, that's right, direct authority is given. In one of my other videos, I mentioned a story series idea that I had that I was working with that I didn't really know what it was going to become. Right? I said, well, maybe it might become a reverse harem, but it might not. Right? It might be something else. Well, I am proud to announce that I have finally made a decision. This story, I actually replotted it. It is not going to be a reverse harem because I'm not quite ready to step into those waters yet. But it's going to be a fantasy story, kind of like a sort of progression fantasy, if you're familiar with that term. But not epic fantasy, more like sword and sorcery. And I replotted the first book and I'm super excited and I've started working on it. So I'm about 14,000 words in and it's kind of my... You pretended to be hillbilly last year? That I would have to see. That's amazing. Yes, Fantasy is a blast for sure. But yeah, so I'm working on this sword and sorcery thing. And we'll see where it goes. It's basically my my project that I'm working on while I'm while I'm on hiatus from the King's Daughter, while Chris's attention is elsewhere. And that's awesome. That is awesome. Now I'm really sad that I'm not going to go to Fantasy to see these kinds of shenanigans because holy smokes. That would be amazing. Anyway, so new series. I thought I had a title for it. I actually don't have a title now because I'm not sure the title's really going to work with the new way that the series is replotted. But yeah, so like I said, about 14,000 words in on that, and it's working. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I really like it so far. So, which is kind of interesting because I have always read sword and sorcery and epic fantasy and that kind of thing. But I hadn't really. Well, let me back up. A couple weeks ago, I actually asked in a group chat. I was like, okay, I need to study. I want to figure out what is this sword and sorcery thing? Like, what makes something sword and sorcery versus epic fantasy or urban fantasy or whatever else. And so I asked for some recommendations, and I got some, and I started reading. And a friend, well, it was Tony. It was Tony Weisskopf, who is often the font of all knowledge when it comes to a lot of these things. She put it very succinctly when she said it's basically, and I'm gonna misquote her here because I can't remember exactly what her words were, but it was something along the lines of like, hacking, slashing, and spelling for profit, right? Like when you have, a small group of adventurers going off and doing their thing for money, right? And it's not on a big epic, like save the world, the day may come when the courage of men will fail. This is not that day. It's not that, right? That's epic fantasy and it's awesome and it has its own place. Sword and sorcery is much more like, I mean, yeah, I could rescue your princess, but what's in it for me? So I'm into it. Like I've realized I've read it for all, my whole life. And I'm into it and I'm really excited about it. So that's kind of why I sort of replotted this. That's one of the reasons why I replotted this story to kind of fall along those lines. And I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'll keep you guys updated here through the videos, but also through my newsletter on my progress as far as that is concerned. Tony recommends. This is true. Yes. Yes. No lies detected. Tony recommends is very similar to You Will Do This Thing with the Godfather music playing in the background. As always, it is for your own good. Yes, for sure. For sure. And if you come to Tony, it's very similar to, like someday I will come to you, not that she's ever going to extort you necessarily, but she's, she knows her stuff, right? And if you go to her and ask for a recommendation, she's going to give you a great recommendation. But then she's going to expect you to follow up on that recommendation, which is fair, right? And because then she's going to want to know what you thought and kind of your, what your did you like it? Was it what you expected? That kind of thing. So yeah. And it is always for your own good. Tony uses her powers for good most of the time. I don't know if she's watching this. I might be getting in trouble talking about her so much. anyway, whatever. In for Penny. Yeah. So that's. Something else that's very exciting. Oh, Tony! Yay! Thank you so much. You know what? If you can wait until it'll take me a while, but I could probably send you a book plate if you're interested, with some signatures for Noir Fatale and No Game for Knights. I think you have my email address. Hit me up with an email and send me your mailing address and let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in doing, because book plates are fairly easy to do. And I think Bane actually might have some. So yeah. And no, we won't have Melissa sign them for him at Fantasy. Tony lives overseas, you guys. So yeah, him going to Fantasy, although I'm sure he'd have a great time and would love it. It might be a bit of a logistical thing for him. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So send me your mailing address in my email, and I'll get that for you. So maybe one day, man. Maybe one day. Okay. Now I've completely lost my train of thought. I have no idea what I was talking about. So that's cool. Oh yeah. Something else that literally just happened today. I'm going to make an announcement. So as some of you know, Marisa Wolf and I have been working with a couple of other authors to do novels set in the Four Horsemen universe that center around the Depic and their companions. And the first one is by Casey Moores, and I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it is coming out very soon. So you can look for that very soon. I also have been working with my friend Dave Shadoin, I just shot a video with him. It was basically his after action report of Superstars. So if you're interested, again, I'll link that video below and you guys can check that out. But Dave is a phenomenal writer, a fantastic game master. He's one of those guys that like came to writing through running games and being a game master. And also because I told him to. But Dave and I have been working together on a Depic companion novel. And so he just sent me Act 1 yesterday, and I'm going to go through it and add in, the scenes that he needs me to add and do my editing, and then we'll continue moving on. So yeah, so there you go. Announcement, Depic companion novel forthcoming at some point from David Shadoin and Casey Ezel. So again, it's not finished yet. I don't know when it'll be out, but it will come at some point. In the meantime, Casey Moores's Depic companion novel, I don't want to say the title because I don't know if it's been announced yet, but it will be coming out sometime in the next period of time. I think this year. I'm not sure. So yeah, that is some shady shit right there. Yeah. Dave Shadoin, he goes by Shady. So and Shady's is going to be killer, pun 100% intended. Absolutely. Yes. Many murders, many cute, cuddly, fuzzy, adorable murders. So yeah, there is Ricky shit, and now there will be shady shit. There has always been shady shit, yes, and he 100% lives up to his nickname, 100%. So, like I said, you guys can check out more with my video below, and we have kind of some plans maybe to have him on the channel a few more times. So something else that you guys can look forward to if you enjoy that shady shit. He's a unique character, man. I absolutely adore the man. He's I flew with him. We were stationed together at Yokota, and I flew with him quite a bit. And great pilot, great instructor, just a a phenomenal all around dude. Yeah. No lies detected. Yeah. So you watch. Before long, he'll have his own channel and he'll be talking shit about me on it. That'd be a good time, right? So yeah, so that's really what I'm working on. A little bit of the King's Daughter, although I don't want to get too far ahead without Chris. A lot of my sword and sorcery untitled project, and now that I have the email from Shady, I will be working on our manuscript, at least Act 1 of our manuscript for our Depth companion novel. So that's fun and exciting stuff. Yeah. All right. What's coming up in March? Shady is definitely awesome. Yeah, he is. He is awesome. He's fun to hang out with. His wife is also an amazing human being. I won't say her name on here because I haven't been given permission to, but yeah, she's one of my favorite people too. Okay, so let's talk March. March. Guess what happens in March, you guys, besides Fantasy, which I'm very sad that I won't be at. It's my birthday. Yes, I'm turning 46. So happy birthday to me on March 23rd. You're welcome for all of my personal information. Get with me later and I'll give you my social. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's so I always get really excited about my birthday. I'm kind of like a little kid about it. It's a little bit embarrassing probably, but I kind of don't care because, it just, I don't know. That's just how I am. I like to make a big deal about my birthday. I always tell everyone at work. Even not necessarily because I don't expect anything. Oh, thanks, Charlie. You're so great. I don't expect anything other than, hey, happy birthday. It just makes me happy to have people telling me, wishing me happiness all day long, if that makes sense. So, or all month long, as the case may be. So my birthday is coming up. There's also a lot of other awesome stuff coming up this month. One of them might be slightly delayed. So I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties in getting my newsletter put together this week. It should go out tomorrow, fingers crossed. But I'm so excited for this one because I'm going to feature a book called The Moon in the Desert, which is by Dr. Robert Hampson, who is, number one, a phenomenal writer and scientist. He's one of the country's leading neuroscience researchers. And number two, a phenomenal friend, one of my very good, very dear friends. And he's one of my contributors for Down These Mean Streets. So I got a story from him, y'all. Anyway, his novel, The Moon in the Desert, which is kind of a take on the $6 Million Man, comes out this month. And I'm trying to feature it in my newsletter that should come out tomorrow, but I'm having technical difficulties. So fingers crossed that I can get that worked out and send that out tomorrow because it is so good. You guys, you're going to want to pick this one up. It might be available for pre-order still. I think it doesn't hit stores live until Wednesday, but don't quote me on that. So anyway, The Moon in the Desert, Robert E. Hampson, check that out. Phenomenal book. I actually haven't read the finished version of it, but I got to read several parts of it in manuscript form, and it's so good. So good. Yeah, just really funny and emotional and deep and satisfying. You know what I mean? So yeah, really liked it. Let's see. So last Thursday, so a couple days ago, I actually recorded a video with I keep wanting to say Ian Fleming, but that's the guy who wrote James Bond. With my buddy Ian, who about well, it's not really about his book, but he also has a book coming out called The Last Argonaut, which will be out on, I think, the 17th of March. So I'm going to post that video on the 16th, and that is a really, really fun video. So you guys can look forward to that. It'll be out on Thursday, the 16th of March. But Ian and I got together and we just laughed our asses off for about an hour, talking about books and music and movies and TV shows and the 80s and sports and all kinds of things like that. So yeah, you can check that out. The Moon in the Desert is actually the title is $6 Million Man movie from 1973. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that is where Rob got the title from. So yeah. Really great book. Highly recommend that you check it out. So this week is this week. That video will be out next week on Thursday. Let's see, I'm working a lot this month too. Got a lot. So I'll be flying a lot, hopefully, as the weather starts to get better. And my little girl has her birthday. She turns 10 years old at the end of the month too. So yeah, busy month, lots of really good things. Sadly, I will be missing Fantasy, but for those of you who are going, I hope you have the best time. I hope that you get photographic and or video recordings for entertainment and blackmail purposes. and yeah, maybe Melissa, if you're still around, maybe I'll hit you up. Maybe you and Marisa. We should do that. What do you think? Maybe I'll hit you guys up and we can do a Fantasy after action group thing. We'll see. Okay. I'll be in touch about that. But yes, so that's really what March looks like. One last thing. On March 19th, my favorite... Okay, so let me back up. If you haven't seen, this is my planner, right? It has all of these things. This is how I keep my life straight. I have been using the HB90 system planner, and I actually have a really great video that includes Melissa, actually, and Melissa Althoff, Joelle Presby, and Joy Wandry joined me, and we went through the HB90 system and how I use it and why I like it. And Joy was new. It was her first quarter using it, and so she was talking about it. And then Melissa and Joelle were new to the system but interested in it. So we had this whole discussion. It was kind of cool. I'll link that video below too. But the HB90 system it's a quarterly planning system that is designed by author Sarah Cannon for herself. So it's basically designed to help writers specifically, but really anybody, particularly anybody creative, to meet their goals, kind of 90 days at a time. In addition, so the planners are available on Sarah's, they're printable. They're available on her Etsy site, which again, I will link below. But also in addition with that, she has a week-long boot camp course that I think is $99. It might be $199. I'm not sure. But it's that is open for enrollment as of right now. And I love the course. I love the system. It has really, really helped me kind of get my mind around all of the things that I'm doing all the time. And I loved it so much that I became an affiliate for it. So I will put my affiliate link down below. If you're interested in the course, you can click on that link, and it doesn't change your cost at all, but I get a small kickback for recommending you or for referring it to you. And so the boot camp starts on March 19th, and you will go through and it'll walk you through the HB90 setup for all of Q2 for 2023 and how to set your goals and what makes a good goal and how to break it down into projects and a lot of things that I kind of thought I already knew how to do. And I did. I knew one way to do them, but I really like Sarah's way of kind of her twist on these things, because it is so focused on the creative mind and the creative work and how to do these things in such a way that you don't burn out your creative energy. So if that's something that appeals to you, check out the links or hit me up on, Facebook Messenger or email or whatever. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that is now open for enrollment. So, so check out the links in the description below if that's something that appeals to you. Okay. Last thing, if you are not a member, if you're not a member of my newsletter, you do not know about our private Discord. Okay. Our private Discord is so much fun, you guys. It's called Between Lost and Found. It's just a phrase I've used for years, but we have a ball on there. Lately, we've been doing these kind of weekly Midjourney challenges where you go on and you use, I like this week's prompt is the word home. And so I told people, whatever that means to you, create it, use that to make a mid-journey prompt and then post what came out on our little art gallery. It's just for fun, maybe a little bit for bragging rights, but mostly just for fun and just to see cool pictures and be like, ooh, that's really neat. But we talk about like the nature of creativity. We talk about creative self-care, not just creative ways of self-care, but how to care for yourself when you are a creative individual. We talk about, opportunities, work opportunities. It's a great place. And we would love to have you come and join us. And so the only way to do that is if you sign up for my newsletter. And in my weekly newsletters, there's a link at the top that will take you to a invite link for the Discord server. So love to have you come join us and hang out and be part of our little growing community there. Because really that's what it's about, right? Like I want to create a community of, and I have created one. I want to grow this awesome community that we have created, where, we hang out and we talk about things and we enjoy each other's company, and it's, very low judgment. And for whatever that means, A, we don't judge each other. B, we maybe have no judgment. I don't know. So anyway, the point is, join the newsletter. Come and join the Discord. Come hang out with us, and we would love it. We would love to see you there. So, all right, that is about all I had. But before I go, let me check said Discord. Hang on, let me move it over here. Let me because one of the places, and there usually aren't a lot of these, but one of the things that we do have in the Discord channel is a place for people to ask questions, kind of like an AMA type situation. So let me just make sure that there aren't any. There usually aren't. No, yeah, we haven't had any questions in there. So come join the Discord, ask questions so I have something to talk about during my Monday Madnesses. So, all right. On that note, my friends, I will let you guys get back to your Monday night. I hope that you have a great week. And our next Monday Madness should be, that's February. Hang on. Next Monday Madness. You would think I would have my shit together, but you'd be wrong. March 20th. So on March 20th will be our next live stream. Unless something changes, and if that does, I'll let you guys know via socials and via the newsletter. So yeah, in 2 weeks, and it'll be right before my birthday. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Fantasy upcoming. We'll talk about spring and kind of the spring equinox and how that feels, and yeah. We'll talk about whatever you want. So, all right. I will let you guys go. Thank you for joining me on this Monday evening. I hope that you have a great 2 weeks, and take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. If you like this video, please give me that Chuck Yeager thumbs up. And remember, just take care of yourselves and take care of the people around you. There was something else I was going to have you remember, but it completely fled my brain at that moment. So clearly it's time for me to go. I'm Casey Zellum. This is my writer life. We'll see you guys.